back to Adventures in Raising Grands the Lowdown. Thanks for everyone for watching and sharing. Please continue to do so. On today's episode, we would like to talk about the reasons that grandparents are raising their grandchildren. Grandparents raising their grandchildren is not a new epidemic, but it is one that is becoming more common. There are a lot of reasons that grandparents are raising their grandchildren. Other reasons are as follows, but not limited to: lack of finances, incarceration, drugs, mental illness, underage, death. These are just the most common reasons that I have found. If you have a different reason that you're raising your grands, please comment below or send us an email. I've also found that many of these can be combined together, like in our situation. I remember growing up, one of my cousins sometimes lived with us. He also lived with our grandparents for most of the time. To be honest, I don't really know the full reason why he lived with our grandparents and not his parents. I was much younger and I never really thought about it. I really don't recall anyone that lived with their grandparents while I was growing up. But now I know many people that are raising their grandchildren. We will mostly be talking about mental illness, drug abuse, and incarceration, because that's what we're dealing with. Again, comment or email if you'd like more information on something that's not discussed here in this episode. Our daughter has mental illness issues, and we believe that's how all this got started. She had postpartum after both children were born, but after the princess was born, it was really bad. She refused to take medication, and she refused to follow doctor's orders. She even refused to go back to the doctor. She decided that she would handle it on her own. Her way of handling it was self-medicating. Her way of handling it was taking somebody else's Adderall. And when she ran out of Adderall, AD gave her meth. We would like to tell you about our involvement with DCF to help show the reasons that we are raising our grandchildren. The first time DCF removed the children was because my daughter's house was unlivable. They had to call code enforcement, it was so bad. And there were also accusations of child abuse and neglect by her ex-roommates. Her and HD, Happy Daddy, lived in the home that time with Princess and the Monkey. Her home resembled an episode of Hoarders. There were dirty dishes, dirty clothes, trash everywhere. There was dog feces and bugs, you name it. It was unlivable. The children shared a room, and in the room there were no toys and no clothes. They were using the bathroom in the closet because they were actually locked in the room. The doorknob had been turned around backwards so that they could lock the children in the room, so that they wouldn't be bothered. The monkey and the princess lived with us for 3 weeks that time. During those 3 weeks, our family went over and cleaned up the house and made it livable, replaced furniture, replaced an air conditioning unit, and at that time, the only drug in our daughters was just pot. And I know pot is still an illegal substance. The second time DCF was involved was December of 2016, due to the children being unsupervised and outside. Our monkey was 4 and was out wandering the streets. Police brought him home, and DD and AD refused to allow the police officer to do a safety check of the home, and they also refused to take a drug test for DCF. Monkey and Princess were removed and sent here to live with us, and they stayed with us for 6 weeks. During that time, DD and AD visited on 3 occasions. After the 6 weeks, DD finally took a drug test and allowed someone to do a safety check. So DCF gave her the children back. This was in the middle of January 2017. She also agreed to go to the doctor since she was 30-something weeks pregnant with our little sunshine, and she had not yet had any prenatal care. This was mid-January 2017. She also agreed to go to the doctor since she was 30 weeks pregnant with our sunshine and had yet to have any prenatal care. DCF was involved after Sunshine's birth because they found meth, alcohol, pot, and opiates in her system. They allowed her to take Sunshine home because they already had a plan in place. 2 weeks after Sunshine was born, we got a call from DD and AD. The police were at their house, and Monkey had done it again, is what they said. He was unsupervised and wandering the streets. This time, he was almost hit by a car. Luckily, a gentleman had pulled him out of the street just in time. The police came and told us to take the children home with us. They said that they would contact DCF. After 2 days, I called DCF because we had not heard anything, and DCF did not even know that we had the children. The next day, a SWAT team broke down the door of that home that DD and HD were renting from DD's grandmother. DD and HD were arrested for trafficking meth, as well as using their domicile for a place for people to smoke meth. They had a couple of other charges as well. Both of them are currently incarcerated. AD got 5 years and DD got 4. AD has prior charges against him. These are our reasons for raising our grandchildren. I hope that by sharing our story, we're able to help others in our situation feel like they're not alone. We also want others in this situation not to feel embarrassed about the situation. This is not your fault. Out of all the reasons that I have seen that grandparents are raising grandchildren, none of them are because of the grandparents. The grandparents are just the ones that stepped up and did what was needed to be done out of love. We have our grandchildren, not for money, not for fame, and certainly not because we have nothing better to do. Personally, I like to sleep, and I like going days without seeing Barney. Oh, and we would love to eat at a restaurant that you don't have to order through a clown's mouth. I would like to share a quote with you from a book that I read by a woman who wrote about her daughter's addiction. What I came to realize is that when I was real about my life, it seemed to give others permission to be real about their own lives. When I first read this, it made me realize why I started writing. When I first began writing about what I was going through, it was mostly for myself. I needed a place to release the feelings I had written down on paper. I needed a place to put the information that I had researched. Now I realize I was not just writing for myself, but I was also writing for others, so that when they hear it, they will know they're not alone. I'm writing it for others so that they know the information that I have. I am writing it for others so that they can see that it's okay to show the hard times as well as the good. And this is why we're sharing this channel. I know that in sharing, we have at least made an impact on one other person. And it makes me feel it's worth it as long as we've helped one other person. A link was shared on Facebook that I had posted, and a woman followed that link. It was a friend of a friend, someone I had never met. She read some of the stories about what we're going through, and she realized that she was going through the same thing. She contacted me through Messenger, and I spoke to her off and on for about 4 hours. We talked about my daughter, we talked about her son, and we talked about the addiction. And we talked about our grandchildren. She thanked me for being so open and honest. And later on Facebook, she posted this comment. I just spent 4 hours venting to a lady I have much in common with, that I've never met. I'm an introvert, and I made a friend. Weird, I saw a post she made, and I could relate. I won't say who or what, but I hope she keeps the post up there. Everyone has a story. We swap stories, and I feel better. Thanks. Not only did I make her feel better, but I also enjoyed the time that I spent with her. And I hope that we can add more stories like this and how we helped other people. So please make sure to ask questions, comment, and even share your story. Now it's time for the Adventure Challenge. This is where we challenge you to do something with your grandchildren and take a photo and send it to our email. This episode's challenge is to make a craft with your grandchildren. It can be something as simple as coloring a picture or making a card. Or if you feel like being dangerous, it can be something more difficult like building a birdhouse. Whatever you choose, just make sure that you enjoy your time creating with your grandchildren. And don't forget to send us those pictures. Have a good one. Be sure to watch for our next episode. We will be discussing the challenges and the rewards of raising grandchildren.